It all began with a cold sensation, a whisper brushing against the back of my neck that something was off. I had always prided myself on being a husband who trusted his wife, who believed in the strength of our vows. But over the last few months, things started to change in ways I couldn't ignore. Lydia, my wife of 10 years, had become distant. She spent more time on her phone, laughing at messages she wouldn't share. She worked late more often than usual, and suddenly started paying a lot of attention to her appearance more than she had. Before, she told me it was for her to boost her confidence, but it didn't feel like it was just for herself. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I told myself I was overthinking, that I was being paranoid. But then came the night I found a receipt. It was for an expensive dinner at a restaurant we'd never been to, an intimate place downtown with. Quiet tables, known for being a spot where lovers got engaged. The receipt was crumpled, buried in her purse under an old lip balm and a half-eaten granola bar. When I asked her about it, she fumbled for an explanation, mumbling something about a work meeting. Her eyes dropped to the floor, avoiding mine, like a guilty child caught in a lie. A work meeting, right? I didn't press her that night. I could have exploded, demanded answers, but something told me to wait, to gather proof. If I confronted her too soon, she'd deny everything, and I'd be left looking like a fool. So I did what any reasonable man would do. I became a detective. Started small, watching her phone whenever she wasn't looking. She had become protective of it, always angling the screen away from me, but I was patient. It didn't take long. Before I saw a familiar number appearing over and over again, texts at all hours. Sometimes just a simple "can't wait to see you" or "miss you today." My stomach churned every time I saw them. The name attached to the number was Kara, but I knew better. Kara didn't send texts like that. One night while Lydia was in the shower, I unlocked her phone using the passcode I had memorized weeks ago. My hands trembled as I opened her messages. There it was, clear as day, a conversation with someone named Mark. Mark, the smooth compliments like "I love the way you laugh," and "when can I see you again?" Lydia's responses made my stomach turn. She told him she missed him, that he made her feel alive, that she couldn't wait for their next lunch meeting. I thought about confronting her then and there, barging into the bathroom and demanding answers, but something in me stopped. I wanted more than just an explanation. I wanted her to feel the pain I felt, the betrayal. I wanted her world to crumble the way mine had. So I waited and planned. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Lydia had been working on a big project at her marketing firm for weeks. It involved a new client, a startup eager to make a name for itself in the industry. She was scheduled to give a major presentation at their office downtown, and she'd been both nervous and excited about it for days. The morning of her presentation, I kissed her goodbye, wishing her luck. She smiled at me, her lips brushing my cheek. I wondered if she kissed Mark the same way. Soon as she left, I knew I had to act. The plan wasn't hard to execute. A quick visit to the florist, a stop by the copy shop, and by noon I had everything I needed. I parked outside the client's office building, watching from my car as Lydia stood at the front of the room, exuding confidence in her sleek black dress, the perfect professional, the devoted wife. My jaw tightened as I thought of the lies she told to get to this point. When the delivery driver arrived, I handed him a package and provided the address. "Sure, it goes directly to Lydia Thompson," I instructed. "She's expecting it." Of course, she wasn't expecting anything, not even close. I watched as the driver entered the building, the box in hand. 10 minutes later, chaos erupted. From my vantage point, I saw Lydia freeze mid-sentence as the box was handed to her. She opened it with a polite smile, probably thinking it was flowers or some other congratulatory gesture. Instead, she found printed screenshots of her text conversations with Mark, accompanied by a handwritten note that read, "You're not as clever as you think you are." The room fell silent. Her face drained of color as she flipped through the pages, her hands trembling. The client team, all men in suits, exchanged confused looks before turning their attention to Lydia. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I could see the panic in her eyes as she scrambled to explain. trying to salvage her presentation. But it was already too late. And then there was Mark. I'd done my research on him as well. He was a coworker, a smooth-talking account manager, married with 2 kids. I'd found his home address, his social media profiles, even the school his children attended. I debated whether to bring his family into this, but in the end, I opted for a more direct approach. After Lydia's disastrous presentation, I followed her to the coffee shop where she and Mark often met. She didn't notice me sitting at a table in the back, watching as Mark arrived and slid into the seat across from her. They spoke in hushed tones, Lydia's hands nervously fluttering as she tried to explain what had happened. Mark's face darkened as he realized the gravity of the situation. That's when I made my move. "Mark, right?" said, standing over their table. His head snapped up, his expression shifting from confusion to recognition to fear in the blink of an eye. Lydia's face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like she couldn't find the words. "Who the hell are you?" Mark demanded, though his voice lacked the confidence of someone truly wanting an answer. I dropped a stack of photos onto the table. Pictures of him and Lydia entering hotels, leaving bars, laughing together in his car. "I'm the husband," I said, my voice steady. "The one you've been lying to. The one you've been betraying while you've played house with my wife." The color drained from Mark's face. Lydia reached for my arm, her tears flowing freely. "David, please, let's talk about this at home." "Oh, we'll talk about it," I said, shrugging her off. "But first, I think Mark here needs to explain himself. See, I've already sent copies of these photos to his wife and HR at your company. I figured they'd appreciate knowing what kind of people they're employing." "You can't do that," Mark stammered. "You'll ruin me." "You ruined yourself," I replied, my voice sharp. "You both did. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? That you could just waltz through life, destroying other people's lives and no one would notice?" Lydia broke down completely, sobbing into her hands while Mark sat frozen, his face ashen. I turned to leave, but not before delivering the final blow. "Oh, and Lydia," I said, glancing back over my shoulder, "don't bother coming home. The locks have been changed. Your things are in storage, and I've already contacted a lawyer. Good luck explaining this to your parents." Her sobs echoed in the room as I walked out, but I didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt free. In the weeks that followed, Lydia tried to reach out, sending apologies, explanations, and promises to change. I ignored them all. Mark's wife filed for divorce, and Mark was fired from his job after HR investigated the photos and messages I had sent. As for me, I focused on rebuilding my life, one step at a time. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Lydia and Mark had made their choices, and now they had to live with them. As for me, I was finally free to live with mine.